tell us a little bit about how you got it to Blue Bear? How did you make your way into this house of awesome?
Um, let's see. Back in the late '70s, I was doing concert promotions for Cal. We used to do the jazz festival up there. I used to work with Greg Perloff, who now runs Another Planet. He and I were
Yeah.
were working together back as young guys for the university. That's how we both. That's how he got into concerts, actually.
Wow.
And but I realized that concert promotions really isn't for me. I'm actually an artist,
Yeah.
and that's when I decided that I would drop concerts. I told Greg I love what we're doing, but I'm going to pursue music, and he pursued that. We're still good friends now.
Nice.
But I went back to music, and so I started studying I mean, just
Shoot, we lost you.
like two voice lessons every week to just cultivate my talent.
Raz, we froze again. Can you hear me? Hopefully. If you if you get
Cohen,
sorry,
who
Raz, that
was
cut out. Shoot. Can you hear me? Raz? Shit. All right, well, hopefully you can pop back in. Okay. Hey, bud. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but it cut out for like the last. You were talking about after you were saying you and Greg
yeah.
were friends and not being a concert promoter. Can you follow up on what you just said? Sorry, we lost all that, I think. You hear me?
Okay, I think we're back now.
Yeah, I
Are
hear you
we
now.
back?
Yeah, if you could just retread a little
Okay,
bit about
great.
where you're at. Thank you.
So anyway, I was studying voice with Jane Sharp. She was one of the top voice coaches in the East Bay at that time, and she happened to also be the wife of Jeremy Cohen, who was a bassist. He was a bass player, and he was a teacher at Blue Bear. And I guess Blue Bear inquired with him to inquire with his wife about if she knew of anyone that she felt was qualified to teach. They were looking for a voice coach at Blue Bear. Now, this was in 1980. So Jeremy asked Jane about it, and Jane, she thought that they should look at me. For some reason, she thought that I would be a good fit for what they were doing there. So I went into the school and was interviewed, and that's when I first met Dennis. And so he interviewed me, and then Carol Snow, she was one of the original founders.
So,
She interviewed me, and that's when I met Steve. He was teaching there then, and he interviewed me. And so Dennis took a voice lesson with me, and I think they had a couple of other people take voice lessons with me after the interview, and then that's when they hired me. So I
cool.
started working at Blue Bear back in 1980
Wow.
and was teaching there pretty regularly. I was doing privates, and then I started teaching the funk band workshops. So I was doing that for a while. And I had a harmony vocal class, and I was teaching theory and a range of things. So I've been um, Blue Bear was a beautiful situation for me. It gave me an opportunity to hone my skills as a teacher. I was pretty young then, so to be teaching was kind of interesting. I started teaching because my wife was a teacher, and that's when I started teaching. It was for a private school that she and some friends had started. It was an alternative school, and they needed music and had none. So my wife asked if I could teach, and that's when I learned that I could. I didn't think I could because I'd never had any formal training, but the high school age kids really responded to what I was doing with rhythm games. I played a number of instruments. I could do harmony.
Hmm.
So that's how I got started. And then I worked for Contra Costa County. And then Blue Bear hired me. And it was at Blue Bear where I really honed my skills as a teacher. And then I studied teaching and different skills through different mentors. But Blue Bear has always been this home and like a sanctuary that I found um, uh, like a real supportive environment for me as a teacher, and also I was able to, offer over, things to advantage the school as well. I was involved with their scholarship program, raising money. I brought in different artists to advocate on their behalf. Bobby McFerrin, Counting Crows, a range of different artists that I was able to bring in and help to push the mission of the school forward, because it's a wonderful mission. And then I remember when they started bringing in programs for young kids, which I think is super exciting, because then that expanded their curriculum in a way where they could have a wider reach.
Yeah.
So the school has been just a remarkable home for me, and what they do for the community is great. Now that they're going to be opening in the East Bay, that's even more of a great effort on their part to just keep the mission, keep the word out there, and keep sharing that love, keep
Yeah.
using music as a way to create community and give people a way to feel empowered to feel like they can speak their business through art.
Nice. Yeah, well, I mean, I really hope we can get to that point shortly where it's an in-person scenario, but with the virus being what it is, we're just, doing whatever we can via this. Although, we just started doing some outdoor classes, like up there on the top of the green, that
Oh,
meadow
really?
that's right above the
Yeah.
school. Yeah, we're doing Little Bears classes up there. I
All
went and shot
right.
promotional footage last week. Brought my daughter down there.
Okay.
She had a blast. Yeah, it was great. Families all spread about on blankets in a circle, and 12
Nice.
feet apart, while Rachel's strumming a guitar with a face mask, and everyone's got masks on. And yeah, it was special, and it made me feel really good to know that there's a potential way that we could do this without risking people and losing ourselves in the same moment too. Um, yeah, so I love that you started with Blue Bear so long ago, and you
I
were there
I
for
think I think me and Charmin, I think we're the oldest two that have been there.
yeah,
I started there in 1980, and
yeah.
she
I think she
started
started in
there
82 or 83. So she,
around there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I just interviewed her for one of these a couple weeks ago. It was great.
Yes.
She's a wonderful person. So sweet.
Yeah. Great
And
woman.
has a varied history as well, like you do. LA and touring and playing
And
with
her
bands.
father was quite a well-known
Yeah,
guitarist.
yeah, very musical family.
Yeah.
Well, let's pivot over to that if you don't mind. Obviously, I mean, I just know from knowing you, from hearing little stories about a lot of the work that you've done with some of these amazing bands, and we're seeing you in the background at your house. You've got you know framed records and things like that in the background. You want to talk a little bit about some of the work that you've done since then professionally, and I know you've I again I can list
Yeah.
the things I know, but there's probably so much more.
Well, I must. I've had some, like Blue Bear, for instance, has been a huge asset to who I am, what I've made myself to be. The school has been a huge,
Mhm.
like again, a sanctuary to cultivate my skills and to also extend myself on behalf of the community. I had to contribute, and then working with Bobby McFerrin was a huge learning experience for me. I was working with him for about 7 years. I was one of the founding members of Voice, and that was like being in music school. Working with such a master, a musical master as Bobby was one thing, but then the group and the various individuals that were part of that effort were also amazing. We were like learning from each other. So working with him was great. He gave us such access to opportunities. We worked and collaborated with people like Liza Minnelli, Gladys Knight, Diane Reeves, Jack DeJohnette, Yo-Yo Ma. We worked with John Williams. We worked with Take Six. We did collaborations with different choreographers and uh, uh, brilliant dance artists. And We worked on films. We worked on the documentary that won the Oscar.
Oh,
So
about
we were in
yeah,
the
the one about
quilt,
the backing vocalists. What
the
was it called?
quilt. It was called. It was called. Um, what's wrong with me? They just talked about it.
Oh,
Um, but it was about the quilt, the eighth quilt,
oh, the Eighth Quilt.
and we did the soundtrack to that, which actually earned an Oscar. So I mean, Bobby was sitting that experience is I was like getting paid to be in music school. When I emerged out of that experience, wow, I learned more about music in that little length of time than I had throughout the whole time prior. You
Wow,
know, working in Cuba, that was really interesting, studying polyrhythms. In Cuba, I went down there twice to study. That was an enlightening experience, where I
wonderful.
went to all of the major centers throughout the whole island. And working with Narada Michael Walden, I learned a lot from, just coaching for him and for the artists he worked with, as well as working on recording projects for him. Just he's an inspiring person. He affects you in a way that's not quite it's not quite clear how it works. It's like through osmosis and how he brings out the best out of you. It's a he's got a kind of a charisma that has that kind of effect on you. And
Hmm.
working with June Watanabe and George Coates doing musical theater work, those were very important uh, experiences for me. George Coates is an incredible visionary. So working in his productions and traveling the world in those um, multimedia extravaganzas were really, I learned so much from him.
Wow.
And so, yeah, there's just so many different people that I've had an opportunity to grow from. And I would say those are the main ones.
Yeah.
In my later years, there's a few experiences from my earlier times that I can point to that really brought me out. John Coltrane,
Yeah.
Herbie Hancock, Jimi Hendrix, Bobby Womack. Those experiences.
Wow. We've been looking over your shoulder for a while now, and I'm seeing a lot of this, like the Rancid records and all that. What's
Ah,
the connection there? That was
oh,
didn't expect that.
yeah, Rancid. Um, what happened was Tim Armstrong got a hold of me and said, "Look, man, I've been on the road and my voice is getting trashed. I need help, and I heard that you had some ways to help people." And so I helped them out, and it really worked out well. And so I did pre-production on some of their records.
Well,
So that they gave me the honor of um, of awarding me the records through my efforts in helping them with their voices, prepping for the records and their tours.
awesome. Wow, you've
So I was Tim Armstrong and also um, uh, Lars, the guitar player in the band.
yeah.
I was their vocal coach. I worked with Lars
Oh, that's cool.
as well as with Tim.
Yeah. Wow, wonderful. You have such a varied history. I knew this would be a really cool session. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's always great to get to know, new sides to people that you've known for a while but didn't really get the deep dive with.
Uh,
Yeah, I really want to thank you for joining me here during this session. Um, it's been a real pleasure to talk about everything with you. I guess before we end it off, maybe I'll get your thoughts.
may I say just one more thing? A few other influences. Jane Sharp, my vocal coach,
Uh,
and Catherine Saddlein, my other vocal coach. Um, Also, William Hannibal Means and Miles Griffith. These were my vocal coaches that I learned a great deal from.
mm,
Uh, so I want to just give them props because they've really helped to enlighten my way of understanding the voice and how it works, the mechanism.
wow,
Dr. Bzepsky and Dr. Ward were also huge mentors, which gave me an insight as to how the voice works, the mechanics. So those people are incredible icons in my
yeah.
in my in my